In the last two videos, we looked at the low-hanging fruit of editing, the 20% of things you can do that make up 80% of how you show up in your videos. Today, we're going to see how to bring all of them together in one interface. I'll also give you a peek at what this looks like in 3 other editing programs. It's going to be fun. Let's get started. So before we get into the nitty-gritty of this, if you haven't watched the other 2 videos in this series, I strongly encourage you to do that first because they are the basis of everything we're about to look at. Plus, the video we'll be deconstructing is video number 1 in the series itself. So having it available to look at will help everything sink in. I do want you to be able to actually do this because I know you can. Because that's what we do around here. We make these kinds of dreams come true. Welcome to the Visible Authority, where people come to learn how to find the truth in here and live it out there. You know, this is much easier than you think, and you don't have to reinvent the wheel on every video you do. For instance, every one of my videos have the same 7 to 10 elements. A green screen, a background, a cold open, an animated intro, a lower third, some jump cuts, and a little music. Some of them have graphics, B-roll, and sound effects. Now, another important point is that by using all these elements, you maintain a consistently high level of quality. It is by no means the only way to make a video. There are faster ways. There are much, much, much slower ways. My first YouTube video took 2 whole weeks to edit. This kind of video just happens to be what can be accomplished by someone who isn't a professional editor, but really wants to get great quality without spending 2 weeks editing. You don't have to keep resetting the camera to get a new shot, which is why my first videos took so long to make. And because you're standing in one spot all the time, you can light that spot just about perfectly. So every video maintains the same high level of production value, and it's fast. So as far as the shooting part is concerned, it's just a matter of flipping a few light switches and you're ready to go. Shooting becomes literally a 10-minute operation. Literally, I use the word literally. To me, this seems like the ideal balance of complexity and quality, and well within anyone's reach, both financially and because it requires no special expertise technically. If it did, I wouldn't be able to do it. The real reason this system works is that it's based on on-camera performance, and that is based on the writing. We're writing a video where everything that happens has to happen in one spot, no matter what else is swirling around us. Now, when I make videos, like video 1 in this series, I'm actually using the conventions of editing to tell the story about editing. But even when it isn't so meta, the writing is key. Everything is based on the writing. And that's why I think anyone who is interested in becoming a visible authority can do this. Because if they can write a blog post, they can certainly write this kind of a video. However, I know this style of shooting is just, it's not going to be right for everyone. Because even if you like this simple way of editing, you may decide that a simpler version of shooting might be a better way to go. And I do have a solution for that as well. It uses most of what I'm about to show you on the editing side, but there's like 1/20th of the setup required. So stay tuned. I'll have more to say about this at the end of the video. For now, I'm going to give you some simple tips that will make things go faster for you until nature blesses you with a more natural speed born of experience. So if it's taking you 10 hours to edit right now, and I can show you a way to save 4, that's 4 you didn't have before. So let's see how to get awesome quality and save you a decent amount of time. So if you would join me inside the program for the deconstruction of video 1. Greetings from inside the program. Here's what the finished video looks like on the timeline in Final Cut Pro, the already baked version. So after we look at the elements, we'll put it all back together again, but you should know that one of the main ways you speed up your editing is to give your videos a basic structure so that you don't have to reinvent the wheel for each one. So first, let's look at all the elements that I mentioned before. The first one would be a green screen right here in the raw footage. we have our background, we have our cold open, and then we have the animated opening. We have the lower third. We have some music. The music comes in like a freight train. Yeah, like a freight train. We also have some still graphics here and here. And we have some B-roll footage here and here. And we also have some sound effects right there and there. So now let's see what this looks like from the very beginning and put it all together. One thing that saves about 2 hours per video is to copy and paste elements from the previous video into the current video. And that includes things like the green screen elements, the color correction, any sort of cropping, and the audio effects. We can put that onto both clips. Now we're done there. Now we need to bring in the background, stretch it out so it covers the whole video. And then we can go back and pick up the settings for that background. Copy. And paste. And here we're going to paste the blur effect and the scale and the position of the background itself. Boop. And there it is. I mean, just one click and we're done with that. Then we are going to copy and paste the lower third. Just put that in here for now. We don't know exactly where it's going to go yet. Somewhere where we introduce it. We also pick up the music and we pick up the animated opening and paste those in. And they will go here in that pause. We just paste them right in. Then we'll take this opening here and we'll just slap it here on the end for the closing. And I'm not exactly sure what we're going to use for music yet, so we just leave the music out for now. Now, this is key. If you're adding text, then the first thing you do after establishing the look and feel is to establish the relationship between your jump cuts and your images. If the image is going to be with you on the screen, then you are going to be in a long shot. So when you're establishing your long shots and close-ups, and in video 1 on timing, I talked all about how to do that, you need to make sure that you've mixed up your shots well enough that the move to a long shot isn't too abrupt or takes too long to happen in the first place. So now you go through the video and make sure you're in a long shot for when the graphics go in. So we've gone ahead and chopped our timeline into long shots and close-ups, and we've placed the opening animation and lower third in the right place. And so now it's just time to add our text and graphics. And since the last video was actually on composition, and the one before that was on exactly how you do that, I won't go into all the details of that now, just to say that, you know, this is the point where we just start dragging down our text or our image, and we balance the weight out with ourself if we're on screen, or, you know, if it's a full screen, it's actually a lot easier. So let's go ahead and put these in now and see how they play out. Okay, so this one is kind of interesting, this little strip right here. This was made just by literally recording this timeline, right? And then and then turning that into a little video, and then bringing that little video strip up into here and timing the waveform of this one with the waveform of this original one right here. And so, and then we took out this waveform and just used this waveform right here, so there's no sort of Doppler effect, and here's what it looked like. Programs come with a set of default transitions, and in most cases, and so that was that. Now, this bit of B-roll may look tricky, but was actually super simple to make. The thing that took time was just trying to figure out how to do it. But hey, voila, special effect. So we continue on with our graphics. And here we have some graphics that become full screen graphics after a while. And then, just put in a special call to action at the end with some kind of, humorous stuff. And a special call to action, a call to action animation here. Let me just drag this out so it doesn't create a problem there. And that is pretty much that part. So other than this one shot here, this is the secret of how you save time in editing and still add a tremendous amount of value. In fact, most of your time should be spent in establishing the relationships between your long shots and close-ups. And in a 9-minute video with 15 cuts or so, that shouldn't take more than 30 minutes. But that also saves hours of having to go back and redo things, because if you're going to add graphics, you're going to eventually discover that must be based on the sizes of your shots. Then, the only other thing you have to add is music and sound effects. So we'll put those in now. Let's see how this one goes here. Boom! Yeah. And as you can see, most of these sound effects are performance triggered. So this next one. Floyd Mayweather. That's kind of obvious, right? And then this one that signals that we're about to do something kind of strange with jump cuts. Oh, well, here's an example. Wait a minute. Oh, but we need more. We need one every time those go off, every time that jump cut happens. So wait a minute. Okay. And that's that. And then, of course, the music. And we time the music to come in at a certain plop their track down. And then I put in another piece of music. Now, this is interesting. I just wanted to show you this one quick thing right here, because I think this can help a lot when you're working with found music. Sometimes you want a piece of music and it doesn't last as long as you would hope. And so what you can do is just chop it in two and bring in a 1 second, or bring down a 1 second dissolve, and then bring up a 1 second dissolve overlap here. And so let's see what this sounds like with aspects to editing that can have an even more profound effect on how your message is received. We've just looked at the temporal prime. So as you can tell, there's a little bit of a change there, but it's not so much that you would really notice, when you're watching and you're listening to the video. Anyway, for most people, music is going to be an optional step. And that's pretty much how this comes out. And just add these elements in and you have kind of an awesome video. And it didn't take very long. And by the way, you can get similar results using iMovie, at least on the green screen, but the blur function is not there, so you'd have to find some pre-blurred graphics. Here's what it looks like in Camtasia, but when you compare the primitive green screen controls in Camtasia with what we use in Final Cut Pro, it's like using stone knives and bear skins to do brain surgery. It takes 10 times as long to get basically an inferior result. You can do everything else in Camtasia that I showed you in Final Cut, though the text effects are limited compared to Final Cut, or compared to Adobe's Premiere Pro, where, as you can see, the green screen controls are amazing, maybe even better than Final Cut Pro. Plus, there are countless text plugins for Premiere, just as there are for Final Cut. So, if you're really serious about editing and want to get the very most out of your program while spending the least amount of time at it, I highly recommend Premiere for those on a PC and either Premiere or Final Cut Pro for those who are on a Mac. Now, for those who feel that this whole green screen thing is too much to take on, it's important to know that you can get a fairly high-end video, make yourself look and sound really good and professional on camera, use text, graphics, and music, and establish an intimate authenticity with your audience just by using your webcam. Yeah, I've developed a system that takes only 2 hours to set up. There's no disruption to your workspace, and yet the quality of the video looks and sounds fantastic, and you can add more production value to the video by adding almost all of what I just showed you in almost any editing program. So in the next video, I'll show you how the system works, what those videos look like and sound like, and the kinds of results you can expect from using them. Till then, happy shooting.